The Ravens handled the Buccaneers 41-31. If you watch the first 7 minutes, you're thinking, man, Tampa Bay is really good. Man, Baker Mayfield is really good. They're comparing his numbers to Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. And then all of a sudden, as good as it was, it went south quickly. NFC South. But give credit, Lamar throws for 5 touchdowns. Derrick Henry, 169 yards rushing. Now, if you didn't watch the game and you just saw 169 yards, you go, man, he had another great game. He had 2 great runs. He didn't have a great game, but he has been a home run threat for them. Just the element of surprise that there's going to be 1 or 2 of those runs per game, and the element of surprise, and just enough to keep you, if you're a defensive player, honest when it comes to play action. Because now all of a sudden Lamar doesn't have to force things. He does have somebody else to help him there. And you had 2 great runs by Derrick Henry. And for Lamar Jackson, that's 5 touchdown passes. This is what I hope doesn't happen. But it's inevitable that it probably will. The voters are going to look at Lamar Jackson and go, can we give him the MVP again? Let's just say that this plays out. Because Patrick Mahomes is not the MVP. His team's undefeated. He hasn't played great. So if you're looking at candidates this year, you would start with Lamar Jackson. So if we start with Lamar Jackson, and he's been really good, and the team is good. They have 2 losses, but they're really good. Are we going to hold it against him because what he did in the postseason or what he didn't do in the postseason? And voters do this. They did that with Joker. Joker should have 1 more MVP. They're going to do that against Joel Embiid. They might have done that with other players where they go, yeah, but he's good in the regular season, but he doesn't do anything in the postseason. That might happen with Lamar Jackson. He might be the best player or most valuable player, but voters may go. I remember talking to voters, and not a lot, but a few voters who always wanted to make sure their Heisman vote was to a player who would be good in the NFL. And I said, that's not what the award is based off of. And they said, well, they didn't want to give it to somebody who then didn't even make an NFL roster. And I said, no, it's a college award. It's not the potential to be good in the NFL. But look, everybody has their philosophy, their parameters, their guidelines for voting for MVP. I had mine as well. And look, I wasn't fair to Karl Malone or Charles Barkley, but I didn't care. I said the most valuable player in the NBA was Michael Jordan, and I voted for him because I looked at him not only for his team, for the league, and he was going to win a championship. That was always my philosophy. I wouldn't be voting that way if I was thinking Lamar Jackson. I would just say great regular season. Just like Charles Barkley and Karl Malone had better regular seasons than Michael Jordan did in those years that they won the MVP. But Lamar Jackson, I'm watching last night, 5 touchdown passes. They're also running the football. And the surprising part with the Ravens is they're not a great defensive team. And normally you think John Harbaugh, they're going to play great defense. And they're not. They're down, pretty much close to the bottom. They're 26th in defense this year. But they're number 1 in offense. They're averaging 258 yards passing per game, 210 yards rushing per game. This has never happened before through 7 games where you have a team average those numbers, over 250 passing yards, 200 rushing yards per game over a 7-game span. Hasn't happened in the history of the NFL. But keep in mind, they started out 0-2. And we were, they could have easily won the Kansas City game. Okay, they didn't. But now you're starting to see this team offensively like we envisioned when they got Derrick Henry, because you got to pick your poison. And right now, be careful what door you want, because it could be Derrick Henry blasting through.